Hi, Monies. Welcome to the Sarah and Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with Billboard K-pop correspondent and BTS Blood, Sweat, and Tears author, Tamar Herman.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This is so fun. I feel like two of my worlds are colliding right now.
Are you a big K-pop fan too?
I am a somewhat K-pop. So I always feel weird. So I got into K-pop around Super Junior. What's that? Not BTS. What's that other people? SS501, that era.
That was when I became a fan.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then I kind of fell off though, because at some point there were just too many, and it was Red Velvet, and I don't even remember who else. And I was just I cannot keep up with this anymore, and I just got overwhelmed, and I just kind of left.
It's okay.
I know.
It's okay.
But every so often, my friend, one of my close friends is still a K-pop fan. We kind of became K-pop fans at the same time. So she'll send me songs. So I stay in the loop. And obviously when BTS happened, I was just oh, I need to check out this group because clearly they are everything right now. But I'm definitely K-pop, K-dramas, big fan of both. And big fan of Sailor Moon.
Same.
Yeah. You are in the right place.
Yes.
So first question I'd ask everyone is, what's your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
I don't really remember what episode it was or anything, but I remember getting up early Sunday mornings to watch Sailor Moon with my older sister, and then being devastated because my family never had cable until I think after I graduated from high school. So there were very few kids shows on broadcast in New York, and so most of them aired Saturday mornings, but I'm Jewish and Sabbath observant, so Saturday I don't watch TV. So It was only for a few hours on Sunday mornings was there anything other than PBS to watch as a child. Oh, and Fox 5 used to have in the afternoon on Fridays, but that was it. There was very limited kids shows. So Sailor Moon, for a very brief period of my life, was on Sunday mornings. And I've never been someone who wakes up early on Sunday. Even as a kid, I wanted to sleep in. But we would wake up because we wanted to watch it. And it was me and my older sister did. And then it disappeared. And then I only ever got to watch Sailor Moon when I was being babysat by a neighbor who had cable. And then it took a lot longer in life for me to get to watch the whole thing and then read it. But it's always been very fond memories for me.
Yeah. What channel was it on? Do you remember?
I feel it was on UPN. Which okay. I think it was on UPN. It definitely wasn't on Fox. I'm pretty sure it was UPN. And then I would try to convince my mom that she needed to let me go get babysat by the neighbor because I could watch it on Toonami.
Right.
And then we used to so I feel so old, but we used to rent Sailor Moon movies from the video store, but it was the VHSs. And our library and stuff. Oh, good times.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, VHS tapes will always have a special place in my heart for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I bought the movies from Target or something. But I have the VHS tapes too, and they're great.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah. That's so cool though. Yeah, I think UPN is right. I've heard a lot of people say that, and it's funny because I knew that was a thing because it used to come on the morning sometimes, but I never watched it then for some reason. Because I know some people I'll talk to I used to watch that before school, and I was it came on before school because I always watched it on Toonami. It was so funny.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was on also during weekdays, but I could be totally wrong, and it could have been weekdays, but that's how I remember it.
No, it totally could have been Sunday too. I was not up early
Google
enough to know.
A 1998 TV schedule.
TV guide.
Oh my gosh, TV guides. Start getting those in the newspaper. We used to convince my dad he needed to get a New York Times subscription because we needed the TV listings. Who cared about anything else? We needed the weekly TV guide.
Who needs to know what's going on in the world?
Nobody.
What is happening Sunday morning? What time is Sailor Moon coming on?
Yes.
Yeah. I completely get it. So how did you feel? What were you thinking as you were watching?
I remember I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, and so Sailor Moon was kind of the answer to Power Rangers' lack of women. So
Yeah.
even though I love Power Rangers and I
Mhm.
still have a special place in my heart for it, like Sailor Moon was kind of, it's just a bunch of, magical girls, like not
Mhm.
to be stereotypical, but they
No.
all, like, every episode was about, not only the monster of the day, but their friendship, which like a lot of kids shows did back then, and I guess still do now. I don't really watch so many kids shows now,
Mhm.
except the Dragon Prince. I'm very into
Oh
that.
yeah, that's good.
But
Mhm.
so I guess it's a a general kid show thing. But I just like I
Mhm.
always remember cheering for their relationships and always feeling like, oh, like I hope I can be like these girls, or why are they acting this way? But they're just people too, and it's just a TV show, but it really meant a lot to me. Like seeing like you know back then, when I was like, oh, Serena, um,
Mhm.
oh, who the hell is it? Usagi? Like,
Yeah.
but it just was always like, I feel like a lot of the times, kids shows characters, the main character is someone who kind of has some like personality issues, but I felt like it was like a big deal that she was a crybaby, and I was a huge crybaby. So I was
Mhm.
just like, see, even a crybaby can be really, she can have friends, and she can have, she can save the day, and like everything, like it doesn't matter because you'll eventually find the place and the people and like your thing in life. And I just remember finding a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I think, one of the most relatable things, being that you can be a hero and you can be, a crybaby or clumsy.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. And
Mhm.
she was never my favorite character, but I was always inspired by her.
Yeah. Who is your favorite character?
Nowadays it's like Setsuna, so Pluto, Sailor Saturn, Sailor
Pluto,
Pluto.
yeah.
Sorry,
No, it's fine. I get
Saturn's good too, but Pluto's
it.
better.
Hmm.
But but then when I was younger, it was Venus, like before they had the outer
Mhm.
Sailor Scouts. So that's who I like now. I relate a lot with Pluto as an adult.
Yeah.
So like my friends will buy me like stuff that has her on it, like keychains and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's fun.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't think I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but I think Pluto is my second favorite for sure. Like Sailor was my first. Pluto is probably my second. I actually just bought a Sailor Pluto keychain from Hot Topic, so I'm really happy
Ooh.
about that.
I really want a Sailor Pluto mug, and I'm looking for a good one. So if
Ooh.
anyone sees a good one, um,
Yeah. I think I want to say there's one on Look Human, but I
oh,
could be completely wrong.
I'm gonna go Google after this.
Yeah. I might be completely wrong. But yeah, that's the one thing that kind of sucks a little bit. Like we don't get a lot of outer senshi merch.
No.
Yeah. We don't really get a lot of inner senshi merch either
We
too
just
much. But
get Usagi all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's okay.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. We'll take what we can get.
She is the best.
She is. But yeah, so many years later, you are now K-pop correspondent at Billboard, and you have a whole book about BTS.
I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
um. Well, I mean, this is, I guess, maybe not a great question, but what made you want to write about BTS?
Um, I wanted to write about BTS because not only do I love BTS, I kind of was like looking. I was like, why is nobody writing this book? So I was just like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And actually, an editor reached out to me because I was writing a lot about BTS. I probably have. I like last night. I actually was thinking about it. I was like, how many articles have I written? And then I realized, well, I wrote a whole book, so that was at least 70,000 words. So
Right.
I've written probably upwards of 100,000 words on BTS at this point, like professionally. And I just kind of was just like, I love them so much, and I want to write, hopefully, a book that could, be a starting point for people who necessarily are. I'm not writing this necessarily for the diehard fans who, already have their idea of who BTS is and how to be a BTS fan or what they stand for and stuff, because that's a really kind of like a really personal thing. So I hope those fans read it, but that's not necessarily who my audience is. My audience is kind of, I'm hoping for people who, are interested in learning about BTS. So like it's the title. People keep on asking, why isn't it Blood, Tears, and Sweat? And I'm just like, but that's one of their songs is Blood, Sweat, and
Yeah.
Tears. And I actually I wanted the title to be Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the story of BTS, but marketing told me no.
Yeah.
So that was my intent. But so it's split up into 3 sections. So Blood aligns with their history, Sweat aligns with their music, and Tears aligns with kind of these mini essays that are like analytically kind of trying to understand BTS, the phenomena, their fandom, and their message. So, and there's, it was supposed to be a little bit more heavier on interviews, but shit happens and it's my first book, so I'm gonna, oh, can I curse? Is that okay?
Yeah, no, you're
okay. So yeah, so shit happens, and so it's just my first book, so I'm hoping there will be more to follow, but definitely a learning experience, and I hope that people really like it. I just kind of, the BTS is such, everyone talks about it as this phenomena, and it's just like, okay, well, what does that mean? So that's kind of what I hope my book answers for people who both are, fans and trying to figure it out themselves, and trying to figure out, like, why am I into this? Like, why do I love this thing? Like, I don't know about you, but I'm really into like academic research on fandom. So I read a lot of papers on like what K-pop fans are doing that's different than other fandoms. And my book definitely does not go into that because it's not an academic book, but I do have that slant. So it's a pretty intense introduction to BTS, and I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that you like not only just like use the name of their song as your title, but you kind of like broke it up and like applied it to different parts of their journey.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say that it was like just fortuitous, but I think I was really daunted at the start of the whole process of like writing a whole book on one topic, because I write pretty short form articles. Like most of my articles are rarely over 2,000 words. So the idea, like there was one night after, my book was already, like I already had gotten, I think, my first advance. And I just remember sitting there at my desk like, how am I going to write this much in one topic in one go? And like people are going to read it. So I needed to, I had already decided to split it up at that point, but it was kind of more of a tool for me to kind of split it up. But also because I felt I'm a pretty, like my background in news is that I got an internship at NBC in New York when I was in college. And because I went to a CUNY school and one of our professors had a relationship there. And CUNY is City University of New York, for anyone listening who may not know. So
I'm also CUNY.
Oh really? Which campus?
I went to City College.
Oh, so funny! I went to Queens.
Yay!
CUNY. Oh, so funny. Yay! You should go there, everybody, because it's the only affordable option in college in this country. In my honest opinion. So one of my professors in like totally not my main major or anything. My major's in East Asian studies, and like I did a history minor and stuff, but of course it was my business minor professor who was like doing internships, and I didn't want any of the business ones, and so I took one at NBC, which he just happened to have, and I was like, oh cool. So I had always wanted to be a journalist, but I didn't really think it was possible. I'm a very Jewish person, and because I'm Orthodox, there's like a lot of financial expectations of how you're gonna make money, because you have to like live that certain lifestyle. Like school fees once you're a parent are ridiculous, and you have like synagogue dues that are just ridiculous, and the kosher lifestyle is ridiculous. So like the amount that Orthodox Jews in the New York area, like at a minimum, are expected to make is like bonkers and should not be like legal. So I never really thought journalism was possible, because it just was like, writers don't make money. That was pretty much the end of it. But I was like, well, I'm just in college, so I can take this internship. And at that point I was already blogging about K-pop, so I got this like really intense hard news background at NBC, and then I continued writing about K-pop, and now I'm where I am. But because this is a long way to say, because I have that hard news background, I kind of am very like focused on facts and stuff, so I don't like giving my opinion. And I really like, I was thinking about this, I was like, shoot, did I even say the word I once in this book? And I was just like, I read my friend Maria Sherman just wrote Larger Than Life, which is a book about boy bands, and it's wonderful. And I was reading it, and I was like ready to throw it across the room because I was so jealous, because it was such a different style to me. And I was like, this is so much better. She is so good with it. I was like, no, it's okay. You have a different writing style. So yeah, I'm a little bit more like I want to talk about everything, so I'm going to, and hers is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I'm going to share my opinion,
Right.
which is just two different approaches to writing about boy
Mm-hmm.
bands. So yeah, so I kind of tried to. We kept on going through a lot of editing because BTS kept doing stuff, and we kept on trying to get stuff in. So
Yeah.
like I'm sure in 10 years I'm gonna want to revise it and update it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really excited for that because it'll be so much better and bigger.
Yeah, they really like I for some reason I didn't I anticipated K-pop becoming a bigger thing in the US. But then once Psy happened, I was like, okay, maybe that was it, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't anticipate like BTS, like, you know, this huge crossover. And then like now we have like K-dramas on Netflix. And I'm like, what is this world?
it's kind of it's kind of jarring.
Mm-hmm. It
Um,
really is.
but it's great, but it's like there's so much now expectations and so
Mm-hmm.
much um more intensity, and like there's so much more weight. Like a few years ago it was kind of just like, oh, like that's just the way things happen in K-pop, and now there's so much more great stuff, like great criticism of K-pop. There could be more of like music criticism, but that's just a music thing right
Mm-hmm.
now. But like there's a lot of discussions recently about racism in the fandoms,
Right.
like artists in Korea not really respecting black fans or Indian fans, or
Mm-hmm.
appropriating
Right.
pretty regularly, unfortunately. And just like a lot of discourse is happening about like what do you like, how do you handle K-pop, when I think like maybe even 5 years ago it was like fans just were not expecting it. Fans were just like, oh well, they're not pandering to us, like it's we're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are seeking it out. But now things have totally changed, and I think it's great, and you know I hope it continues. People always ask me like, when do you think, like, where do you think we are in this K-pop wave? And I'm not a prophet, and I don't. I'm like
Yeah.
such a pessimistic person. I'm still sitting here like maybe it's not real,
Mm-hmm.
but it is real, thankfully.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, I hope it continues for a long time. I think we're kind of really seeing a change of things in America, how we consume culture, at least like how media companies
Mm-hmm.
consume culture and what cultures we're interested in nowadays. So I'm hopeful that we'll see more of this and more just general diversity on like our music and streaming platforms and TV platforms and stuff. And I hope BTS and K-pop just keep going higher and higher.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you mentioned it in the book too, just how like the internet has created a way for more fans to reach international music in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because even I think like there's like Nigerian artists who are really big, getting really big in the U.S. now too. Um, and then obviously some like English acts, and I'm trying to think of where else. Obviously Latin America, you mentioned that a lot as well. So yeah, so it's definitely becoming this like
Yeah,
really
I'm
worldwide music.
yeah, I'm honestly really kind of surprised we're not seeing more like African artists. Like you mentioned how a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Nigerian musicians are kind of blowing it, but like people are just kind of like, oh yeah, I listen to them, but I'm not writing articles about them. But that's just
Right.
America for you, and
Yeah.
music industries for you.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it. I'm sure it's gonna come eventually, like with Afropunk, and then what's the I'm forgetting the Afrobeats.
It has to.
Yeah, it's like it's bound to happen for sure.
But yeah, I think like that's a great thing about streaming, both
Mm-hmm.
music streaming and video streaming, is kind of you're now not reliant on, like, going back to Sailor Moon. Like I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
you're not reliant on that TV guide anymore. You make your own
Right.
TV guide, or your algorithm does. And so I think like if you're seeking out different music, different culture, like cultural entertainment properties, I think it's like only can happen in this era of the internet, and I think it's so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely don't have to rely on TV guides or VHS tapes anymore. um, I love too. You connect them to the Beatles, which I think is they might be the most accurate comparison. Like, and I didn't think about it before because, like, I was talking about global sensations. like BTS is that. Like, as much as I love the Backstreet Boys, I don't know how much they achieved globally, or I don't think they reached a scale as big as BTS.
It's kind of hard to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, define the scale of like artists in the
Mm-hmm.
90s versus now, because you know
That's
their
fair.
album sales might be higher than some artists now, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily getting the same amount of radio play or listens, like streams
Right.
and stuff.
That's a
Backstreet
good point.
Boys and NSYNC were pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty big, and I think their album sales were probably bigger than, you know, BTS. I don't know if they were bigger than BTS like
Mm-hmm.
on a first single album, but because they had multiple albums during like the heyday of CD sales.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what Maria said in her book. She did say like their numbers, but
Mm-hmm.
it was like totally different. Like they were really focused. Backstreet Boys were really focused on Europe. Like they got popular in Europe before the U.S.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
fascinating book. Really,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like telling everyone like read that, then read mine, because you need like the background, and then you need the like, you know, the like the lens on like a microscope
Right.
on BTS. But it's really fascinating how like boy bands work. But yeah, I do in the book spend a lot of time kind of processing how BTS is kind of like the, I don't want to say like the second coming of the Beatles, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like that next step in the global music stage
Mm-hmm.
from the Beatles when it comes to like a boy band, because like there's a lot of similarities regarding, in just in my mind personally, about how, you know, the Beatles, the songs that they were singing about and the songs that BTS sing about, like Beatles had anti-war songs, and BTS, a lot of their early stuff was really critical of like socio-political stuff in Korea, and their songs have continued to do that. And then they also have, you know, love songs and stuff. So because every good boy band has to.
Oh yeah.
And that like kind of um like dichotomy of songs, and in the book I kind of, I just like broke it down to like the bare basics of like life songs and love songs, because I just think that at the end of the day that's kind of what they are. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the thing that for both acts made them interesting. You know, it's like the nice packaging of, you know, handsome, young, attractive men who perform really well, but then it's like the music itself and the entertainment value that their music like is the jumping off point from. That's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And I think the Beatles kind of launched this, you know, we literally, it's like the British invasion. Like we talk about how the British music scene kind of followed after the Beatles, and I think kind of BTS is similar, leading kind of K-pop into the US. You know, fans always say like, oh, BTS paved the way, and then you'll see like fans who, like you mentioned, like Super Junior and Double S earlier,
Mm-hmm.
like older fans will be like, no, but other artists paved the way, and it's like this whole thing. But when you
Yeah.
look literally at like actually like what's happening, it's like they did open up, you know, the whole industry, because, you know, I love all K-pop acts. I once said it, and it's always stuck with my head. I was like, wow, that was a smart thing I said. It's like I love all K-pop acts. If I am not talking about them or I don't know them yet, it's probably just because I don't have enough time. Um,
Yeah.
like I don't want to like generalize, but like I think
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, K-pop stars and K-pop music is really well done and really entertaining, and there's something for
Mm-hmm.
everyone, and it's so lovely. But I do think, you know, when we talk on like the scale of like global music history, like BTS is kind of close in following in not necessarily Beatles footsteps, but is like the obvious I don't want to say comparison, because I do think
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of reductive to compare artists, but you
Right.
know, sometimes you just have to, because people
Mm-hmm.
don't have, you know, a knowledge point. But I think just the
Mm-hmm.
things that they're doing, the way that they're doing, like BTS went on, um, was it the Tonight Show? What's Stephen Colbert's show?
Yeah.
It's the
Oh, it's
Late Show.
Late Show.
Late
Mm-hmm.
Show. So they went on the Late Show, and you know, they paid this total homage to the Beatles performing on the Late Show. They like did the whole black and white thing. They wore the suits. Like they're even cognizant of it. And so I
Right.
think, you know, they're paying both respect and also kind of doing their own thing. And I think it's really kind of, that's kind of why I introduced that really early on in the book, is because I think like for a lot of people who don't know BTS, and a lot of people who kind of maybe think that they know the Beatles, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
when like you're, I think you're around the same age as me. Like nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
like Beatles are kind of like our parents thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always think like, wow, isn't it going to be so funny when in like 25 years, like the BTS is like kids are like looking to their parents like, oh, that's what you listened to when you were younger.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're still listening too, just like how the Beatles are still popular. But
Right.
so I think like that's kind of like my hoping that into existence, like that legacy is as long lasting, and you know they do kind of shake up the global music scene, kind of like how the Beatles shook up the American music scene with by bringing, you know, or you know, not intentionally, but like bringing British music to the US. So I think
Right.
I'm kind of hoping that BTS does that both for K-pop and just general more like music from Asia, from outside of the US, because heaven only knows like America is so like focused on our music scene. Like
Yeah, we're
sometimes it's
very
like, oh yeah,
self-centered.
we'll look to Puerto Rico and Mexico maybe, but like this is just like totally a non sequitur, but like the fact that Little Mix has like no audience in the US is probably the most ridiculous thing of all time. Like they're such a good girl group. We love, you know, good girl groups in the US, and it's just not gaining traction because right now the US is just like, Euro pop, Brit pop, who needs that? So I think it's just a really fascinating kind of era we're in where so many people in the US are like, no, we're just American music, and maybe, you know, some Canadians too. But BTS kind of did their own thing and changed things, and I'm really hoping, and I kind of we're already seeing the impact of that BTS kind of has laid the foundation for a more globalized music scene.
Yeah, I think they already are, like you just said. I think we're already seeing, you know, the impact. You know, I see more K dramas on Netflix every day, and I'm pretty sure they're an entryway for a lot, and like I wouldn't say like a proof point to others, but like, look, they are popular. This could work here, you know.
Yeah, and I think you know, like Blackpink is also really really popular, and you know, I always wonder like is it, you know, the chicken or the egg? Is it like people were kind of already aware of K-pop a few years ago and they were just kind of waiting for some people like BTS to show up, and then, you know, they were like, oh, now we can bet, you know, on other acts. So, you know, there's while we're recording, there's all these rumors that Selena Gomez is going to work with Blackpink on something. You know, they've worked with Dua Lipa. BTS has worked with Nicki and Sia and Chainsmokers and, you know, Steve Aoki, designer, so many people like Wale. And so I think I'm like always kind of fascinated on how, you know, it's not like a conscious thing. Like nobody's like, oh, I'm keeping, nobody in the industry is like sitting on their chair on the edge of their seats like, will a K-pop act attract an audience in the US? So I think it's just so fascinating how the industry is responding to all of this, and I think it's just I think it's so wonderful, and also kind of sometimes scary because you're just like, what if like this is it? Like what if this is all we get for like Asian representation in America for the next like decade, because America, it tends to do things like that. And so I think there's a lot of good conversations that are happening right now, and it's great that BTS is at the center of so many of them.
Yeah, and I think you're right too. Like it definitely, you know, I mentioned Psy before, even though he's a little gimmicky, but also like Girls' Generation appeared on David Letterman a few years ago. So there's definitely been like this slow build, and hopefully, I think, I mean, I'm gonna be optimistic that it'll continue. And expand.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Girls' Generation, I remember like seeing their ad in Times Square. And like 21 had that Microsoft ad. Like it's always like been little tiptoes. It's like baby steps. And then BTS was just like, screw the baby steps. We're just running.
We're here.
We're here. And it's so amazing because like it's not, you know, nobody said, okay, we're gonna make this our thing. But it's just like the fans did it, and like the music did it, and they did it, and their company did it. Like there's so many different factors involved, you know, in the industry. I think I mentioned in the book, like some industry stagnation was, in my perception, was probably a big pull for a lot of fans. You know, there's no One Direction. Bieber had already lost his sheen. Like we love boy bands and boy band style people in the US, but there's only ever one at a time. There's only ever one. And so like we were waiting, who is it? And it was BTS, and it's so cool. I just think I think it's so fun and exciting time we're living in, and terrible sometimes, but also fun and exciting.
Yeah, all at once. Yeah, I think just right time, right place, and they had the music and the look.
Yep.
Hey Moonies, here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that Sailor Moon creator Naoko Takeuchi is married to Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter creator Yoshihiro Togashi? I know, power couple goals. If you're a fan of 90s anime like me, head over to Namiwear to get some of the best anime-inspired streetwear from Akira, Slam Dunk, and you guessed it, Yu Hakusho. They also show love to newer shows like My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer, but they sell out quick, so head over to namiwear.com to get some of the best anime-inspired streetwear out there, and use code MooniesClub to get 20% off.
What is your favorite BTS song, and what is your favorite Beatles
song? Everyone keeps on asking me, "Oh, is Blood, Sweat, and Tears your favorite BTS song?" I don't. It's not really. It's my favorite music video. I have a lot of favorite BTS songs. I'm someone who loves music so much that I think I like change really like how fast I put things on shuffle. I change my favorite song, but I often when people ask me like what BTS song makes me the happiest, it's usually Untitled Man, which is from one of their more recent albums, you know, in their oh my gosh, when was it? Well, please cut this out because that's embarrassing. It was a Love Yourself album. I was just making sure because now the soul stuff. So Untitled Man from their Love Yourself series, just I think it's so exhilarating and so inspiring. So even though I do have other songs from like their earlier albums that I also really love, I always kind of when I was writing this book, it was one of the songs on my like day-to-day playlist. Sometimes everyone's like, "Oh, you must have only listened to BTS while you were writing it," and I did mostly listen to BTS while I was writing it, but sometimes I had a playlist that was like BTS and IU. I'm not sure if you're familiar. But she's a popular singer in Korea. She's great, and she recently actually worked with Suga of BTS on her song 8.
So I had to look her up real quick.
Oh yeah, she's great. So I put like one of her albums. She has these cover albums called A Flower Bookmark. There's 2 of them right now, and they're like covers of older songs from Korea, and I just really like how she puts them together. Like they feel old but new, and it's like my happy place. So I'd put those interspersed with really intense BTS songs that make me happy. But it was a lot of like newer stuff, which I thought was really funny because I was just like, oh, I guess these are like the happy BTS songs, because the early stuff, there were some happy stuff, but it was a lot of like stressful, angsty stuff like No More Dream and NO. So I put like Untitled Man and I'm Fine and Dimple, and these are just songs that like I wanted to be in a headspace that was both very calming and very kind of euphoric while I was writing, because they all have pretty high BPMs, and have the songs that in those albums have pretty low BPMs, so I'd kind of put it on shuffle and have like a good, like almost like I was on a treadmill.
A roller coaster.
Yeah, so it'd be like, okay, I need to like and I wrote the book after work because I'm a freelancer, but I until Miss Corona arrived, I was expected to write a certain amount of articles for Billboard every day, even though I was freelance, and nobody should do that. Don't be permalance, it's terrible. Yeah, it's the worst. But so I'd write after like work hours or after I was done my workload, so I'd usually stay up and write. And so like at the end of the day I would like need a brand new revitalizing playlist, and it was this one, and I thought it was so fun that like I made my own little playlist, and I was like really laughing at myself, and I was like, it should just be BTS, and I was like, yeah, but you have to pace yourself. And I couldn't pace myself with BTS stuff, but there were some times when I had like one BTS song on repeat for like 100 times, and I was just like, you need to. I like often listen to classical music too while I was doing it. It was really weird. Writing a book is so weird because I never like I spend all my days listening to K-pop, and I'm always writing with it on in the background. But I needed to be in like such a different headspace for this book. A book is so different than just an article. It's so weird. I can't like explain that enough.
No, I get it. I think Because like imagine like you have to be much more of like, I wouldn't say academic headspace, but like it's a lot more. There's a little, I don't know, but I think I understand where you're coming from.
I had to try so hard not to repeat myself. Like even when we were like editing it the last time, I was like, didn't I say this already, or did I just read this 600 times?
Right.
So it was a really fascinating experience, and but so yeah, sorry, really long answer because I talk way too much. Probably my favorite BTS song that I recommend to people who like kind of want to kickstart a moment is On Man, and my favorite Beatles song is total opposite, is Eleanor Rigby.
Oh,
I don't know. There's something about it. I don't know what it is.
It's great. Yeah.
How about you? Do you have favorite Beatles and BTS songs?
So I mean, I have blood, sweat, and tears for BTS, but it's probably I love visuals. So like like if you have a good music video, I most likely will love the song. Like I love the Lost song by Rain. Because that music video is just so fun. It's
so intense.
Yeah. Beatles, I really like, I think it's Something.
Oh.
It's such a pretty song.
Good choice.
Yeah. And so those are my favorites. Thank you for asking. I don't like when people ask me stuff.
I want to know about you too. It's a conversation.
Yeah. What's the most interesting you learned while writing the book?
Most interesting thing I learned, probably that I could write a book.
That's good.
It was so long ago. I'm trying to like think about like what did I know versus what did I not know going into it.
Hard.
Oh,
actually, go ahead.
But
no, I was gonna say when I had to write a piece about Sailor Moon for Teen Vogue, and I started out just like, let me see how much I can write just purely off of knowledge, and it was a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like the first time. I would like most of the times when I had to Google something, it was because I was like pulling a lot of facts and data, and I wanted to try to make sure it was right. And even then, my fact checker was like, "You switched off between U.S. dates and Korean dates," and I was just like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
So we had to go and deal with that, and I'm sure there's going to be one that was messed up, but hopefully nobody notices. I don't know if this was like the most interesting thing, but I thought it was really interesting that and I kind of knew this already, but it was a reminder. Like J-Hope's nickname was Smile Hoya, and I just thought that was so cute.
That is cute.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some interesting things. Like I didn't know that they were on like an Isengi album as like, or they being kind of really RM before BTS's debut. I thought that was pretty cool. I had known, like one of my favorite things is I'm a big fan of the like K-pop vocal group 2AM.
Oh yeah.
So 2AM was JYP and Big Hit like collaboration, and so BTS's name was like used. I don't know if it's the first time. I have to like check the timeline which album came out first, but one of the first times they appeared, and I'm guessing the first time I ever heard of them was when they like featured like Bangtan Sonyeondan on a 2AM song. And J-Hope actually appeared in one of Jo Kwon's songs and performances and stuff. So that wasn't something I learned, but what did I learn? I mean, I learned a lot, but it's just like, I don't know. I had to think about that. I learned so much.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I figured by writing a book, you learn so much.
So much.
Yeah. And then you got to interview them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've interviewed them twice. Most recently, I interviewed them just recently for their Map of the Soul 7 album. I was really proud of that interview. It was a really, really fast, really quick interview because they had a whole media junket, and those things always suck. And you always are just like, I just want to get one good question in. And it was really fun because I did get a few good questions in, and the video that we released for it was really a great interview, and I'm really happy that people enjoyed it. But I like asked if they thought of the album as like a love song to their career, and then, or a love poem. I don't remember what my phrasing was, and RM was just like, oh yes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, he liked my idea. But great. Yeah, I mean, it's just how it felt to me. So I just wanted to hear their perspective on it, and like I kind of like I always try, if I have a question where I kind of want to hear their opinion on something I think, I always try to do it as like, it sounds like this, so can you tell me about that? So I kind of did that, and so we got a really good answer just in general about the album. But it was nice just to kind of, hear like, oh my gosh, I hit the, like, I did well. But also, like, I was appreciative that, he like kind of how you said before, like, oh, thanks for asking me about the question. Like, it's something like, as an interviewer, it doesn't really, you don't always get any feedback like for you personally. So it was like a nice moment, and they were like, it was a media junket, so like it was busy and stuff, and they seemed kind of out of it, but they still seemed engaging, and it was really nice to get, time to interview them. And hopefully there'll be more opportunities in the future. I got to speak to Suga recently for his mini album, really, really, really briefly. But it also was, he said something, what is it? It's that perfection, what was the line? Something about perfection being elusive, and that interview happened like just as I was kind of upset about something with the book process, and I heard what he said, and I was just like, oh, like, that's true. Like, he put this like mixtape out into the world, and he knows like perfection is elusive, but at a certain point you just have to be like, okay, this is it, and I'm gonna put this out and then move on to the next thing, and the next thing will be even better because you build off. So I kind of was just like, that is such a good perspective, and I made that my phone background for a while and it's still my phone background, and it was really inspiring. And it's something so obvious, but it's just nice to hear it from someone who, like, I was like essentially freaking out about a book about him, and then he said it.
Is it just the words as your phone background?
My friend made me some calligraphy art for it. It was really nice. So she took a still from the music video, and she put some calligraphy over it. It was really nice.
That is really nice. Nice friends.
Yeah.
You have some great friends.
I've been with her for a drink, and then I was like, or just buy a bottle of wine, because who knows when we're going to go out for drinks.
Right, yeah. That's a whole other thing.
But yeah, it was really nice of her.
So would you say that was one of your favorite moments in meeting them?
What's my favorite moment? My favorite moment in meeting them was probably actually like earlier during the Wings tour. I had a really quick interview with them. Well, it's always quick with BTS. And
are you going through a translator? Sorry.
Yeah. So yes, but also it's quick because when you do a media junket, it's just annoying. And so the interview itself was like fine, and it actually was a really terrible experience with the outlet, and I never wrote for them again. It was my first article for a place, and like it was a disaster from like day one. But the editor was great, but we did not see eye to eye, so it's not my finest moments of my career. But the interview itself was really great, and like before we even started, like they saw I didn't have a chair, and I can't really figure out why. I still have thought about this a lot. I was like, why was there no chair for the other interviewers? But there was no chair. So one of them, I think it was J-Hope. It may have been Jimin or Jin. It was a long time ago. He brought me a chair, which was really nice. And I was like, okay, but we have no time. So like, it's okay if I'm just static. Like, let's just get to it. But it was really nice because you could really see like what they felt was important was to make the interviewer comfortable. And then once we were done, like they were like, I was the final interview, and they were done for the day. And I just remember them like standing in the hallway saying goodbye, shaking hands while they were all eating hamburgers. And I was just thinking, wow, they all must have been so hungry, but they had this media junket, so they couldn't go eat. And it was just like, please eat, please enjoy. But I like, one of my favorite things about my job is kind of getting to see those more human moments of K-pop stars, because so much of it is like edited, or even if it's not edited, like it's still like they're shiny, like you'd very rare, like nowadays you kind of see it more, but it was just like, please eat, like totally fine. Like I've had people eat during interviews, and they're like, is it okay? And I'm like, please, like please, just like it's fine, like as long as you still talk, like who cares, just eat. So yes, important. So those are like, they're just like little things. Like the interview was fine. Like I just think like they seem like nice guys, and they seem attentive, and they seem, interested. It's hard, for a lot of musicians, because interviews are technically part of the job, but it's not the part of the job that's enjoyable for a lot of people. If you don't like talking to strangers, if sometimes journalists, we're nosy, so we asked questions that maybe kind of, even if they're things that like you want to talk about, they kind of maybe come like out of nowhere or something.
Right.
So, but it's always really nice to just find people who are attentive. The recent media junket for the recent album, like they were doing, I think I saw the roster and it was like 11 album interviews back to back, and I don't know if it was 11, but something a lot. I was like, I wouldn't want to do so many like quick hit interviews. Like, how do you come up with things different? And I remember when the interviews were coming out, like they had said something different in pretty much every single one, and I was so impressed with them. I was like, these guys are really on another level, and as an interviewer, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that is great. There's been times when I've interviewed someone and then I'll look at another interview they did and I'm like, that's the same exact answer, and it'd be so sad.
I've had word for word ones sometimes, and it's so, you're just like, well, I guess you have a really good PR person.
Right. Like, a really good memory.
Yeah, I was like really impressed.
Yeah. But, I get it too. And so bringing it back to Sailor Moon for a bit, if each BTS member were a Sailor Scout, who would they be and why?
Oh, I wish I had known about this question. Yeah. I would have obsessed about this. Oh my gosh. My first reaction was to say, oh, well, RM's Usagi. But then I was just like, but maybe it's Jungkook or Jimin. I don't know. This is too hard to do on this spot. Well, I feel like the obvious one, I'm going to start with the Inner Senshi just because that's easier. And there's 7. So, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I feel like Suga is Mars. I feel like that's kind of maybe.
Yeah,
I'm just like thinking of his intensity. I feel like maybe, I don't know, Jin has to be Venus. Because, his worldwide handsome and, like, all his hearts, like, or maybe V. I don't know, this is so hard.
I mean, you can double up, too, if that works.
I should have thought of this before. I should have expected this question.
I asked someone else this for, I don't know if you know the show Living Single.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them this, and they were just like, this person's Usagi. Like, actually, this character is actually kind of Usagi. And this character is like, so funny.
Who's Usagi? Oh my gosh.
Right.
I don't know, like, I guess maybe RM is Usagi because, like, he's really inspiring, and I feel like, I mean, he is the leader, so there is that, but just, like, also, he has his introspective moments, and he has his, like, moments where he, brings everyone together. I don't know.
Maybe would it be easier to go the other way? Like, all right, that's Usagi. Who would be Sailor Mercury? Or
I'm like thinking of like the scouts rather than like their personalities, but
oh right, yeah.
I don't know.
Amy would be better, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's see.
Mercury. Maybe like, I don't know. maybe V, because he's.
I think Mars and Suga makes sense.
That's the only one I'm like, yes, that one 100%. And like kind of in a weird way. This is gonna sound really weird to anyone who's listening. I'm like, J-Hope is like Chibiusa because he's just such a ball of energy. But like, but like not because he's like Chibiusa, but just he is. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. This is gonna sound like really random, but I kind of feel like V is kind of like Helios. Like he's kind of, I know you said the scouts.
I like that.
But he's kind of like the protector. He's the one that kind of pushed the whole like I purple you thing. Like I don't know. That's kind of just like who I thought of. Oh, this is so hard. Okay, who did I said Suga. I'm like writing this down. I said Suga. I said Suga, and I said V, and I said RM, and I said
you said J-Hope.
Jin. Okay, so and I said J-Hope. Okay, so it's just Jimin, and oh my gosh, Jungkook. Oh my gosh, but Jungkook is just like, I don't know. Oh, he's Jupiter. Like Like, he's so put together, and he's so good at everything.
I feel like that could be Pluto, too.
Oh,
maybe.
yes.
I mean, it could be both. It could be both.
Yes.
Yeah, we have more scouts than we have BTS members.
Yeah,
now,
and
so.
Jimin... I don't know, Jimin... Part of me also wants to say, like, well, maybe he's Jupiter, and then and Jungkook is Set. So
okay,
we can go with that.
Yeah,
I don't know, or maybe he's like Uranus. I don't know. This is too hard.
I thought that would be a fun question.
I want to make a BuzzFeed quiz for this.
Honestly, it should be. I'm thinking. I think we did we do RM?
RM I said I think he was Usagi.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think we got all them. Suga is Mars, V is Helios, RM is Usagi, Jin is Venus, who did I say? J-Hope was Chibiusa.
Yep.
Jungkook was Jupiter. Maybe Jimin is Jupiter.
Yeah, you said you switched it because you put
and then
as Pluto.
Yeah. And then Jungkook is Pluto.
Yeah.
Because he is kind of aloof, and he does kind of like do his own thing, but then he also, has all the power.
Right. Oh yeah, that's good. That works then. I like it.
It was a team effort.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Indulging me.
I would have overthought this for like an hour. I'm still going to think about this for the rest of the night. I'm just going to be like, oh, this is amazing.
Well, you can totally email me your theories later.
I'll think about it.
Yes, please do. And obviously you love Sailor Moon, obviously you love BTS, but what else do you stan?
I stan other K-pop groups also. I'm a big fantasy and romance reader. I'm a big books person. I wanted to mention this. I thought about this earlier and I totally forgot. I don't know if you're familiar with Sarah Rowley. She's a YA author, and she has her series. What's it called again? The Effigies series. It's a trilogy, and it's essentially like magical girls, and and it's really cool because it's like a kind of Buffy meets Sailor Moon meets K-pop in a weird way, because there's also like this media criticism element because they're magical girls. So if it was like a boy group of magical boys, like they would be like the saviors of the planet, but because it's girls, like people are like, oh well, she's so pretty, we should get her on a magazine cover, even though she also has to save the world. So it's like this actual sub like part of the story, and I think it's so cool. So it's a really cool series, so I like to suggest it to everyone who likes Sailor Moon or Buffy or K-pop, because it's a really fun blend of those things. So Sarah Rowley, her books, I've been reading them recently. I don't know, what have I been doing lately? I've been binging Run BTS. I've watched a lot of it, but I was like, I've never done a whole stint of it, so I'm gonna go from one to the present before my book comes out. So wish me luck. I'm gonna do it. There's currently 100 and I think 9 episodes. I don't know, what am I do? I watch a lot of K-dramas. I just watched Search WWW, which was really good and a nice change of pace if you're a K-drama watcher, because it's like the romance was almost like I don't think every K-drama, people always stereotype K-dramas, oh, they're just about the romance, but there's a lot that aren't, and this was one of them. And it's
Search WWW.
Yeah, it's about women who work in essentially like search engine companies. So like in Korea, search portals are a really big deal, and they think like how Facebook is a big deal. So Naver and Naver and Daum are the actual ones. So in the show, they had 2 rival ones, and the women kind of came to the center of like all these controversies and all this work and all these issues about real-time searches and politics and stuff. It was really fascinating because it's a real thing, and I was like watching this and I was like, oh, this is probably a reference to like this political thing that happened in Korea recently. And it was just so cool. What else am I into? I am really into everything. Like I have a podcast called Nice Jewish Fangirls. It's currently inactive because Corona has made us just lose our minds. But usually we talk about like what we're interested in. I'm just interested in everything. I really love a lot of things. I love a good story. Like even if it's not, medium I'm particularly interested in. Like I'm not a big, it's funny because we're on a Sailor Moon podcast, but I'm actually not a big like anime fan. I'm not really into like animated shows all that often. Like, but then I watch this and I watch the Dragon Prince. I am a huge Digimon fan. If anybody who's listening is a Digimon fan, hit me up. I need some more in the world. Digimon is so much better than Pokemon. Pokemon is just cockfighting, and Digimon is about friendships and saving the world. And
both of those things. Yeah.
They're both so good, but Digimon is better. I will die on that hill.
See. I have no skin in either game. I was late to Pokemon, and I've watched some Digimon. So yeah.
It's so good. There's a new series going on right now, and I'm excited to watch the whole thing. But also nervous because what if they mess it up? They did mess up the movies, but that's a story for another day. I don't know. I'm just into a lot of things. Like I'm into candles recently. I'm into nail art. I really want some cool Sailor Moon nail art, but I'm not. I'm into subtle fandom things. Like I'm not somebody who like blasts. Like I want to say like I'm a sneaky fan, like for both professional and private reasons. Like I've just never been really comfortable being like, I am a fan, which is hilarious because my life is a fandom thing. So like I'm really into, like mugs that have like something like a screenshot of a music video scene or something, but like only that I know is like I'm really into the subtle things. So like I've had nails that are like nail art that's inspired by Blood, Sweat and Tears' music video, so I took like those same shades of purple from like the early scenes and put them into nail art, and so I'm always thinking of like how could I represent Pluto in like a subtle way. So I've talked about it with my nail artist. We've thought of things, and then Corona happened.
I love that. I've talked about this with my nail artist.
Well,
it's great.
Nail art is like, I'm not going to say it's my only indulgence because I definitely buy a lot of earrings and shoes because they always fit. This is my thing. Like, I'm not going to be the most fashionable ever, but I will have great earrings and shoes because just I know how to wear those. But I work from home and the only thing I see all day is my screen and my nails. So I like let myself indulge, and I have a great nail artist in Manhattan if anybody's interested. But right now I'm just like have normal purple nail polish, and it's okay. But I think like everybody, like I don't know, my work is kind of my hobby because I love K-pop so much, and I've kind of turned into this thing. So there are like, it's like funny because I don't have so much, I don't want to say like time or investment into other fandoms nowadays or other hobbies or stuff, but it's always like, well, why am I just not just watching another, BTS video or something? Because I know that's going to make me happy. Why would I watch something new? What if it's terrible? But nail art is kind of like something so removed from like media. And so like having those sessions are like therapy to me. So even though it's indulgent, and I'm always like, why are you spending this money when you can just paint your nails a solid color for free? And I'm just like, I don't know. It's my, I don't know. And I kind of blame Sailor Moon. This is going to be weird. But like when they transform, that was the best part when they got the nail polish. It was like, I want this machine.
Like sparkle.
Yes. And it's just magically a color. It's like, that's impossible. I want it.
Yes.
But yeah, nobody should be like, I mean, spend money on nail art if you want, but it is something that I like laugh at myself about.
Yeah. No, I was tempted to, I go down Etsy rabbit holes all the time with Sailor Moon stuff, and they always have like really cool like press on nail art. I'm like, one day I'm gonna get this.
Do it. I've seen some nail polishes that are inspired by the Scouts, and I'm always tempted to buy the Pluto one. But
that's awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, I recently started painting my nails more often. I bought like this purplish beige color that's working really well as a nude for me. So it's really pretty.
That sounds nice. I have a light purple on right now, so we're clearly in the same mindset. This is my it's like BTS purple color, so I'm just like, I'm not taking this off until the book is out. It's like my superstition. And it's funny because like people keep on asking me like, why haven't you done a photo shoot with your book with like the army bomb yet? And like their light stick, and it's just like, well, that's in my apartment, and I'm currently living with my parents because they have a yard and I do not, and
Yeah.
Corona is Corona.
Yeah, I need a yard.
Yeah,
That's
so
really nice.
I have to go pick it up so I can do a photo shoot with it, and I'm really excited. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like into weird things. Like, people always laugh at me because I'm like so into K-pop and I'm so into like fandom culture and all this stuff, and then I'm like, my favorite TV show that's not like fandom related is The Great British Bake Off. Because like I need a total 180. I'm obsessed with it. I'm like a missionary for it. Like, I try to get people to watch The Great British Bake Off. I think it is so good. The earlier seasons are better. But yeah, I don't know. I really love a lot of things.
Yeah, it's good to have variety. It's good to love a lot of things. I do too. I don't know. I like a lot of things too. People know me for Sailor Moon, but I'm like, I also like all these comic books and all these TV shows and all these movies and all these people, and I'm all over the place. I
like, people who don't love a lot of things, like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I had a teacher one time who like didn't like either TV shows or movies, and I was like, how? Like, I didn't know that was possible.
Did they like books?
They like books, yeah, but just not. And it just didn't make sense. Now looking back, it makes sense a little bit, but I'm also just like, how?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone has their own thing, but I don't like get it. Like, I honestly, I don't understand people who don't like.
Oh, she didn't like music. That's what it was. That's why it was so weird. Yeah, she didn't like music. I know, it was weird. I was just like, how do you not like music? Like,
I understand not having like intense choices, like feelings about music, but not liking music?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope she's changed her mind.
Me too.
That's so sad.
Yeah. She's my English teacher too, so you would think. I feel like, well, artsies. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. What does she do while she reads books? Don't listen to music, okay?
I guess not. Silence.
Well, I guess when you're really focused.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm happy to hear. I don't think you named anything that I also don't love. Yeah. I also love Buffy. Also love the Dragon Prince. I actually haven't watched a Great British Bake Off, but it is on my list.
You should watch it. But like, you have to start at the early seasons that are on Netflix. Don't start with the most recent one because they changed the judges and it's like not as good anymore. But it's still okay. It's, if like you love it, you'll enjoy it. But like, it doesn't have the charm anymore.
I really like Rhythm and Flow as a competition show. I mean, I know Great British Bake Off isn't necessarily like a competition show.
I haven't watched it. I'm gonna put it on my list.
But yeah. But yeah, that was fun for me to watch. It just felt, it was nice.
Did you see that the Dragon Prince has been extended?
I didn't. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they confirmed that Netflix will do the entire story, so all 7 seasons are going to be through Netflix. Yes.
I didn't realize it was 7 seasons.
Yeah,
7.
They announced it during their Comic-Con panel, but the crew, the cast didn't know. So they got to, so like the videos floating around on Twitter, it's really cute because they're all like, wait, what did you just say?
Right.
It's so cute.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, after like Avatar basically broke the internet when it got put on Netflix, I feel like they should just give them everything at this point.
And Korra's coming out soon. I'm excited because I haven't finished it.
Okay.
I didn't like it as much. I feel bad saying that, but like, it was darker and more like, it's funny because Avatar, like Airbender, was pretty intense, but I don't know, it was just more mature, and I was just like, I'm not in this headspace right now, but I'm excited for it to come back because I think there's something so wonderful about kids shows that have like meaning, and I think most kids shows, on most levels do have some meaning, but like kids shows like Avatar and Dragon Prince and even Sailor Moon, like the message isn't just for kids. Like, it's not like Paw Patrol or something where it's like to teach children how to do something.
Right.
It's like, children, you should know these good things for life and how to be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too about kids shows or shows, targeted for children.
They're definitely not only for children. They are like,
not.
Like the Dragon Prince, I don't think I've ever met a child who watches it.
That's a good point. Are they just are like millennials like a new target audience, I'm guessing, because I feel like people in my age group, I think, are the only people I know who watch it, but they're people who grew up on like Avatar.
I think maybe like because it's a TV thing, but like there are definitely like kids who don't have like broadcast anymore. Like they don't have television; they just have streaming platforms. I don't know. Yeah, there has to be some
like
kids.
Yeah, I don't know any kids who watch Kipo. In the Age of the Wild Beast, I think it's called. Yeah, I gotta think of that. Maybe I just don't know enough kids. Also, I don't really hang out. Or know many
I have like nieces and a nephew, but the oldest one is only 6. Maybe I'll ask her cousin what she watches, but it's definitely just like Disney, Disney Plus.
And stuff.
Disney Plus changed the game. Oh my gosh! Yeah. Oh, The Mandalorian. I'm really into The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Baby Yoda, so cute. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just into a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know. Like I'm lucky enough that I've made my job out of things that I love. Like I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love it, because let's be honest, there is never enough money in writing to make it worthwhile. Yeah. Like writing is a labor of love, and I said it to a friend recently, like they were actually writing a fanfic, and I said to them, like, you don't need to write this for anyone. You're writing it because you feel that you need to tell this story to other people.
Right.
And I think all writing is like that. Like, sure, obviously, like there are days when I'm just sitting there writing like a quick news hit or something, and it's like, who really cares, because like every website is going to write this, but then you get all the features, and that's what makes it worthwhile. Like if you are interested, if anybody's listening or you are interested, I did a really interesting interview with a singer whose name is Lim Kim, and she used to be kind of this like jazzy pop singer, all pop singer in Korea, and she was really, really popular, and she suddenly went nowhere. And then she came back with this album called Generation, and she is pissed. Like she is pissed at the industry, at the world. She went to school in Jersey, and she saw a lot of racism here, and her album is essentially about the Asian female's place both in Korea and the world at large. And what she like had to say, it's just like, I was really just thinking after I finished the interview, I was just like, sometimes I'm just like, why am I talking about boy bands and girl groups all day? Because even though I love them, like who else loves them? But then at the end of the day, everything is a story. And it all, like, I think like the storytelling, we don't have like, I don't know if you watch The Witcher, but like we don't have bards, we don't like so I kind of
no one's going around singing for us.
I mean, give The Witcher a penny. Nope, we don't do that.
We send emails, follow-up emails.
So I kind of like think of like cultural writing kind of as filling that space. Like obviously you can talk about something in a social media space, like a celebrity can say something, but like when you're telling a story, you're giving it context and cultural like backgrounds, and you kind of like can pinpoint more than just a moment. You can highlight a whole story, kind of like, I don't know, how some great songs do it. And that's kind of my approach to writing. So I don't remember how I got to that point, but that's I don't know, it's what I do. And I sometimes I wish like, I was like, I can't wait until like 5 years from now when I'm even better, because it's still a learning process. Everything in life is. But I don't know, it's so meaningful, I think, to tell other people's stories and also your own. But I think I'm more of a person who is not super comfortable. It's not that I'm not comfortable talking. I'm very comfortable talking. I'm not comfortable talking about myself.
Right.
So telling other people's stories and highlighting other people's, successes, and sometimes, bad things, because news is not only good, and reporting is not only good stuff, unfortunately. But I think just telling other people's stories is something that I find happiness in. And I don't know, maybe kid shows help me with that, because I don't know, I'm thinking about it, so many kid shows start with narration, and I don't know, now I'm thinking about my relationship with kid shows. I have to think about this. The Dragon Prince and also narration. I've just been in the Dragon Prince mood, falling down a well again this week because of the news.
Yeah, no, understandable. That kind of actually leads me to my next question too. Like, what advice do you have for aspiring writers or current writers who either want to write about K-pop superstars or just want to, write about music in general?
Don't do it. No, do it. Don't expect the industry to be kind. Like, really, it's really a shitty thing to hear as the first advice, but like, it's really hard to be a journalist right now. It's really hard to be a cultural journalist right now. It's really hard to be a music journalist right now. So it's just really hard. Like, you hear so many stories about, let alone journalists, but just writers who like are living in their cars because like book advances are so little. So like, you have to really want it. Like, I've never met somebody doing this professionally who doesn't like feel the urge, like the need to write. I'm sure there are some out there, I don't know why, but I think you need to really feel, the passion. Definitely there are days when I'm like, why do I do this? And like, why am I writing? Like, who cares? But that passion always like finds itself, and you always find like a way to the words. And I think it's something, I think the world's hard enough. You don't need to make your life harder by pursuing something that brings you no joy. So unless it's something, I don't know, I'm kind of being really negative, but I think it's really like wonderful how many people want to pursue this, but I think it is heartbreaking to see how many people try and then fail. And like, I'm not saying not to try and fail, because that's a good experience in its own way in retrospect, but like, it's so hard to get into this. Like, I began writing for Billboard in 2016, and I've never had a full-time job writing. And that's something that I don't really expect to get. And I'm, luckily I'm successful and I'm diligent and I make it work. But some days, I think, wow, I cannot make this work right now. Like, this is not going to happen. And you hear so many stories across the industry about that. Music journalism is just so hard. But then on the flip side, right now, we're also seeing like, honestly, a glorious time where newsletters are really coming to kind of step in where music blogs were. So even though the industry is kind of shit and falling apart in the age of Corona, music writing isn't. So there's such good music writing now. Like, literally, newsletters just arrive in your inbox, and I get so inspired reading what other music writers are saying about their relationships with music, about stories that they're telling about different artists and stuff, or news, or industry analysis, just whatever it is. It's so inspiring to see people, and some of them, some of them are free, and some of them, I pay $1 for a month, or a few dollars. I think the most I pay for a newsletter is $7 a month, and that's quite a lot of money. And I thought about it, but I really like that writer's work. It's I have to check that I'm not going to say his Twitter name.
That happens to me a lot too. Someone asked me the other day if I knew someone, and I was like, no. And I was like, wait, is it this Twitter name person?
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's Gary Suarez. He writes about hip hop. He's Noyoko no on Twitter, and I really like his perspective. And like, I'm not, I'm a pop girl, and but I love hip hop also. But like, I'm not like so in tune with like the hip hop scene. So I always read his newsletters and appreciate him, and I like want him to be thriving. So like, so these newsletters I think are really cool, because you can literally, when you're subscribing to a website, yeah, hopefully they'll pay the staff decently. But when it's a newsletter, I can be like, okay, fine, it's $7 a month, but I'm paying someone whose work I like, and it's like me kind of saying, I'm going to pay you. So I've kind of had a reckoning personally about like paying for content recently, because I don't know, it's so easy to get stuff for free nowadays, but it's also, there's still people putting it out there.
Someone's paying for it.
Yeah. So I think we're living kind of, I like, during this period of the Corona timeline, I keep on thinking of the first line of A Tale of Two Cities, which like, it's so funny because like, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times. And it really does feel that way, like, for music journalism. So I think the advice, if I have to give advice, is like, do it because you love it and know it's going to be hard, but do it anyway, because it's worth it. Like, it's so worth it to get other people's perspectives out there, like your perspective as a writer, the people who you're talking to's perspective. Like, I really think, like, maybe don't expect to make it your career, or maybe do it on the side, or, you know, do try to make it your career, but it's hard. But just do it regardless, whether it's a, you know, a blog or a newsletter, or you're writing for, you know, the cover of Rolling Stone. I think it's worth trying, and I think it's worth doing, because I really do feel like, you know, for all the chaos that social media is, like, it is so wonderful that everybody kind of can have a say. And yeah, I think the world can only be helped by more diverse perspectives and more people trying to do things. So even if you feel eventually like it's a failure, or you feel despondent about it, I think the effort itself, and the, like, you know, not everybody is a great writer. Even people who want to be writers sometimes are not great writers. But nobody's a great writer on day one. Like, nobody knew their A, B, and C's out of the womb. So I think it's always worth trying, even if it's hard. And like, there were times when like I was working on this book, and I was just like, how can I write another, you know, 20,000 words on this? Like, am I done yet? And it's just like, nope. And I like flip through it now, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't write that thing. Like, and I'm just like, okay, fine, it'll be the next thing. It'll be the next book I write, or if go into an article or something. Like, I think words are so wonderful because they're not limited. Like, they're only limited by kind of like your understanding of language. And so I think go for it. But no, it's hard. But like, everything in life that's worthwhile is hard.
Yeah. There's times, like, I used to write a lot more before, and I love it. But of course, it was like so tiring and so underpaid. But I still, like, nowadays, I'm like, I miss writing, and I still want to write.
Once you, I feel like that's always the sign of a writer. Like, when you miss writing. Like, I started writing when I was studying abroad in Korea, and it was like, I was in Korea, I was studying abroad. Why wasn't I like out at bars and clubs more? Why was I sitting in my dorm writing? And it was because, like, there were things that I wanted to write about, and then I would go out and hang out with my friends and stuff. But you, like, I feel like writers have that itch. I want to read psychological research on that. Like, what is that? Like, why do we want to write things for other people? I don't know. I'm so interested in the world, and I love like knowing more and learning more. I think the world is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the signs of a writer. I think just curiosity and just like, I'm interested in everything.
Yep, and even if I hate it, like, I'm still interested in it.
Yep, very much. So, and then just like, you know, Sailor Moon had the Sailor Moon Says phrase at the end of every episode. So when you were getting babysat and watching Toonami, what would your phrase be? So Sailor Tamar says.
Sailor Tamar says, love yourself, do your best, and send that email.
So that's my Sailor Says.
Awesome. And then what's next for you, and where can people find you?
What's next for me? I'm still hustling along, so I'm still writing about K-pop. I just revamped my website, so it's just tamarherman.com, but now it draws from my Forbes and Billboard feeds, which is really cool. So I have to like do all my old stuff, but like all my new stuff is now in like this nice little, like, it almost looks like an Instagram page of my articles, and I'm pretty excited because it is so annoying to post things onto websites, like personal portfolios. So that's a good starter place. I'm usually hanging out on Twitter, sometimes on Instagram at Tamar Writes, like, because I'm a writer. And I'm still writing about K-pop, excited about my book coming out on August 11th. It is so exciting. And I'm actually already working on the next book, but I don't have anything to say about it yet, but it's exciting. And I don't know, I'm just excited to share more of what I do with the world. And you know, I hope people enjoy the book. And if you don't, I'm gonna still be enjoying it anyway.
I love that. I'm very excited for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I'm very excited for this new book you're working on that I know nothing about. And yeah, I'm really happy you're able to come on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And once again, I'm Victoria, aka Miss Old School. It's Old School with a K. And you can find Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast on Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_Club on Instagram. And like, subscribe, and leave some comments, guys. And thank you again for coming on the show. Once again, I say it a lot, but because I enjoy saying it.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.